but I'm my own head writer. Like,
I'm sorry to say, you're the head writer, though.
yeah, most shows, the guy, he gets it culled down from a head writer. My writers, I want them to know I read every single word they ever write. I don't want them to feel like something got lost in committee, you know? And they all know, you know, you can be outrageous, you can be over the line. I can always edit that out. I want them to be over the line. You know, I want them to put, you know, I'd rather, I can always pull that back. What I don't want is timid or afraid of, oh, is this too far? It's my job to, like, be a little too far. That's my niche.
It's the delivery, too. I mean, you get away with a lot of shit the way you deliver it.
Well, I do, but, you know, less than lots of people, you know, who really gets away with a lot is cartoon. I'm very jealous of cartoon, What is this? That's roofing myself. No,
I dropped those.
it's a, you know, it's a way to have diet soda without anything. You pour this into carbonated water, and also then you go to a sex party with Mark Robinson in North Carolina.
Got it.
Have you been reading about this guy? Oh, come on.
Which one? Who is he?
The Republican nominee for governor in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Who calls him? I mean, no comedy writer could come up with this. He calls himself a black Nazi. A black Nazi? And also, like, he's a super cranky, super hard right Republican, like, absolutely thinks, calls abortion genocide, but of course he and his wife had one. Of course he was on all these porn sites, used to be a regular at the porn shop. The porn shop is it that they evening.
Do they still have those?
Well, no, this is from like the 90s, but like, even when they had them, I didn't know you could be a regular.
What? Didn't they have one at Sunset in Doheny for a long time? That yellow building up there on the corner?
A little down the road was the Hustler store.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, the Hustler store was pretty high end.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think there can be a high end for dildos, but yeah, the Hustler store was, you know, patronized by, and that was prime real estate in L.A.
Yeah. I never went in there, but I went by it every day because 21 years I drove past it going to the Fairmount.
Did you see Oprah with Cano the other day? No?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
How can you, with your media empire, not see something like that and share your thoughts with people who hang on your every word?
I was busy empire. I was in Arizona at 112 degrees with border guards figuring out why Venezuelans are coming through the desert.
Can
everybody says they're not.
Can I tell you the answer to this? Because we're America. Because we're a shining city on the hill. And of course, everyone's going to want to be here. Can you blame them? There's porn on the phone, Phil.
I don't blame them for wanting to be here.
I mean, you could order a pizza and jack off before it gets there and never have this reader except to jack off.
Well, I started saying, how do you do that?
Well, that's why God gave us two hands. Yeah. But, I mean, look, I'm not a rah-rah patriot kind of guy. I don't feel like get a boner for all that shit. But I do like perspective, and the perspective on the world is America is still the biggest swinging dick. It just is. I mean, it's just a reason why people want to be here.
But you got to get off the bandwagon about who's president, he's crazy, and start trying to solve the problems instead of just jumping on the bandwagon about who's going to have the top job. Who has the top job is not near as important as who's solving the problems. So much of what's going on in this country.
The guy who has the top job
really?
Is the guy who, of course it's his agenda. You don't think presidents set an agenda for the country, priorities? Just the way you, for example, handle your Justice Department. The Justice Department, the people who follow the law.
There are more people that affect what's going on in our lives that were not elected and can't be fired because they're public servants. You've got these people that have been appointed to these jobs that are passing regulations, not laws, that are determining what we do. This world's been run by bureaucrats we didn't elect.
I would say that if you're a
Well,
young...
respond to what I'm saying. You don't agree with that?
I mean, it's so easy to blame bureaucrats. I mean, bureaucrats are bad. But try to have a society without them. What is the alternative? You have to have humans do these kind of jobs. It's like our justice system. Is it awful? Yes. But it's the best of the possible options we have. What's better? Jousting? A trial by fire? See if you
I'm
float?
a big fan of the jury system, but I'm telling you...
But what else is there?
I'm
It's
telling
the best of the worst.
We've got people that have no accountability that are passing regulations that determine what we can and cannot do. And these aren't people that we elected.
No. I live in California, sweetheart. Don't tell me about regulations.
Yeah, tell me.
I mean, well, just on a personal story, in this thing that you say is such a Shangri-La, I'm a very simple man. I have one house, one car, and one plane. A simple man. Okay? So, when I bought this house, it had a 3-car garage. Well, memo to the people who built this house. That was never a 3-car garage. Unless you were driving little Japanese cars or something. It just wasn't. So at some point I was like, it's a 2-car garage. Just to change that over, 3 inspections. I should have no inspection. I can't, fix my garage door without the state of California getting involved. This is the kind of stuff that really pisses people off. And people who aren't like me, who, have a steady take on the center, I think, you're not going to actually get me all the way over to vote for Donald Trump because you made me go through 3 inspections for my garage door. But I get it. And if I was a different kind of person, yeah, maybe you could get me there. I think you are that kind of person, and you are there, and they did get you there, even though you don't admit it. But I'm not going to be there. But yes, the state of California drives you batshit insane, and it's infuriating because someone is so counterintuitive. I wanted to put solar here. It took me 3 years. I was bitching about it on my show, and it didn't move them. Can you imagine? They're so arrogant and so entrenched that even a public embarrassment every week did not move them until it finally did. But wow, those are people who are pretty secure in their jobs. I was publicly shaming them every week. I want to do something that the state says is good for the environment, be a good citizen, save myself from money, and I couldn't get the fucking solar hooked up for nonsensical bureaucratic bullshit reason.
You just have to show up with a camera crew to get your permit.
Right.
That works.
Right. Why, have you done that?
Well, I'm just saying, I would suggest it. It helps if you show up with a camera crew.
What do you think of these people who go undercover? There's the one, I forget his name, he's on the right who does it. But now people on the left, they just did it to
not
somebody
let the darkness
where they get them
triumph.
thinking that they're somebody else. It's like a Borat thing, and then they get them on tape. But, it was somebody who was pretending to be a reporter and was interviewing, I think, the owner of the Washington Commanders, somebody who owned a sports team.
Keep
and he was
a
saying
peaceful
some things
mind.
that, you know the story?
Find
No,
your
you
center.
don't follow the news, Chief. Well, anyway,
Depending on what you call news.
this was pretty big news. He was saying things that got him in a lot of hot water. I mean, there were. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, our job here at the team is to, even if we have a shitty team, is to sell hope. And they made it sound like, oh, this is some great scandal. No, that is a sport. Sports isn't doing anything for us except diverting us. Yeah, give us hope.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. I'm just saying, so this was an undercover thing, and they do this a lot now. Do you think that's cricket, or do you think that's...
I think subterfuge is a bad idea. I think you got to be transparent.
How are you? See you around.
I don't like sneaking up on people.
No, you certainly have made that your, signature in your career. You're a blunt guy who says it. I mean, that's the secret to your success, I think, is that You say what a lot of people are thinking. You say it plainly. You say it out there. You know, you're never cruel, but you're not going to spare them the true skinny as you see it.
I've had people confess to murder on the show. I mean, I've had people come on and, you know, basically say,
Right.
I did it, you know. You don't have to sneak up on them to do that.
Right.
If you just know how to interrogate somebody, ask them questions. And if they haven't watched the show a lot, they don't.
And you think they really wanted to unburden themselves of?
Most people do if they're really carrying a heavy burden. And, you know, some people are just exhibitionistic, and some people think they're the smartest person in the room, and they aren't always. And that can backfire on them.
I mean, apropos of what we were just saying about the jury system, Robert Dirt, I mean, both the part where he admits it in the bathroom and the stupidity of at least one of those jurors who the evidence was just like overwhelming. And when you heard what the jury say, you went, oh my God, I didn't want to have to go to the jury. These people could not, you cannot count on them to figure it out.
Yeah, you want to put the dots pretty close together, but I'm a fan of the jury system. I think we often don't know what they got to hear and what they don't get to hear.
That's another thing. It's so not about getting to the truth, about which side has the better team that does this for a living. I remember there was a case of a marijuana advocate. This is like 20, 25 years ago when that wasn't legal anywhere. And they put him in jail, and afterwards, all the jurors came out and said, oh, if they had let us know that he wasn't a drug dealer, because they weren't allowed to introduce evidence that would have... So the jury was under the impression this guy, who was just a pot advocate, he wasn't selling, he wasn't, you know, fucking El Chapo. That's who they thought they were putting away. Okay, that's not a system that's seeking the truth.
Yeah.
That's just a system of, you know, who has the better liars.
Well, you know, I did that for a long time.
What?
Worked with juries.
Oh, I thought you sell pot.
No.
Yes, I do know that. Right.
And I would rather have a so-so story really well told than a great story poorly told. I'm going to go in front of a jury.
So, you ever worry about, like, people who you pissed off, like, with some of the stuff? You know, judges sometimes get somebody, that happened today, somebody killed a judge. Like, but you're kind of a judge, you know, you kind of have that judgy vibe, and, you know, you say people, did anybody ever, like, come after you, like, because they, like, personally in a very scary way?
I'm the least judgmental person I know, but you know, sometimes...
It's not wrong to judge. It's not wrong.
Sometimes when you take a strong position, you're going to piss off half the people.
You have to make judgments.
You're going to piss off half the people. And I've been very critical of some of our elite universities that have allowed these pro-Hamas demonstrations and their failure to teach critical thinking. And I've been very outspoken about that, and I've had a lot of death threats.
Well, we're eye to eye on that one.
Over that, I just can't. I'm hearing things on these campuses I never thought I would hear in my
Need
lifetime.
something? See you
Death
later.
to America.
Have a good one.
I don't understand how these universities can turn a deaf ear to that. There's a difference between free speech and inciting people to violence.
There's also a difference between terrorism, committing terrorism, like they did, Hamas did on October 7th in Israel, committing terrorism, and retaliating against terrorism. The Israelis don't commit terror attacks. They kill terrorists, yes, and other people are going to get killed in that process because that's what happens in a war. But the fact that the left is so many of them are so morally confused about this conflict. You know, they blew up the, I'm sure you saw this, they blew up the Hezbollah fighters with pagers this week, right?
Yeah.
They made the pay.
Good day to you. See
It's
you
hard
around.
not to laugh, and I don't care.
Safe
I'm happy to
travels.
laugh at it. I mean, these are terrorists. These are
See you around.
terrorists. Yeah, they did it kind of in an unorthodox way.
What can I do for you?
Most of them lived. They just got their dick blown off.
See you later.
But like, and I'm sure that all the college campus protest kids were so sad that their heroes in Hamas got their dicks blown off. Like,
Look, I've been to Israel since October 7th. And I've been to the site where they had the music festival and, where they came in there. And I actually interviewed the first responder. I don't mean a first responder. I mean, the first responder was there by himself for a long time. And you should, I didn't say much during that whole interview. I just let this guy talk. And it's on the short list of the most moving interviews I've done in 25 years. You should listen to this guy. And I don't want people in Gaza getting killed. I don't want children getting killed. I don't want people in hospitals getting killed. Of course not. I hate that. But getting killed with shrapnel from a bomb when you're retaliating against terrorists that did what they did and then ran over there and hid in a daycare center or hid in a hospital, that is not the moral equivalent of what they did when they came over there and did what they did on October 7th. And anybody that equates one with the other is at the most base level of morality that you can possibly be. It's like you don't know the difference between blame and responsibility. If that chair breaks right now, are you to blame for it? No, you weren't abusing the chair. Are you involved? Are you responsible? Yeah, you were sitting in it, so you had involvement, but that doesn't mean that there was intent. Those people came over there and killed infants in their cribs. I've seen the cribs. I've been there in the rooms. I've seen it happen. I've seen footage from the IDF that were GoPros from Hamas, that they took off their dead bodies. And I've seen it, that nobody else has seen it. They didn't publish it. I know what actually took place. And there's no moral equivalent of what Israel has done. I hate that they've had people killed in Gaza, innocent people killed. I'm sorry. But they knew that when they did it. Did they think they were going to go over and do that? And they were going to go, hey, I wish you wouldn't do that again. Of course they knew that was going to happen, and they didn't care. They were willing to sacrifice those lives.
The elements listen.
And for our elite
Maintain
universities to
focus.
allow this stuff to go on, they just haven't taught critical thinking. They haven't taught these how to think. And these outside agitators have come in and found these kids with no direction and given them something to do.
well, actually, I'm going to stop you there. It would be better if it was outside agitators.
Oh, there are outside agitators.
No.
Yes, there are.
Okay. But the real problem is inside agitators. Because when I say inside, it's the professor.
Yeah, I agree.
The professors are...
I agree.
See, there's a difference between, in the 60s, there was violence perpetrated by people like the Weathermen. Remember the Weathermen?
Yep.
Okay, they went from a protest group to a let's set off some bombs group. They weren't very good at it, but they were violent. But the professors at like my alma mater, Cornell, weren't encouraging them. That's the difference, because the professor at my alma mater now is saying he was intimidated by what happened on October 7th. So
These are art history professors, by the way. These aren't history professors. They're not government professors. They're teaching art history or kinesiology. What the hell are they doing talking about this? If I'm paying for my kid to go there,
or some sort of Muslim studies course.
yeah, I don't get it.
No.
I don't get it.
Club Random is brought to you by the audio marketing gurus and radioactive media. The daily grind is back. It's fall and Q4 is upon us. So isn't it time to juice your business for the end of the year? Why don't you do something new and adventurous and utilize a new marketing angle by harnessing the power of audio and partner with shows like mine? The team at Radioactive Media can ensure that your message will stand out by driving new customers by using the power nationally on podcast, terrestrial, satellite, and streaming radio. Radioactive Media can create a customizable campaign for your company's needs so you can attract new and qualified customers. Radioactive believes there's so much in the power of audio marketing, they put their money where their mouths are by using it themselves, right here, right now, on this silly show. Learn how you can experience the power of audio marketing by also utilizing the strength of text messaging, which can generate an ROI. Oh, wow, one of those, as high as 7 to 1? No. Yes, apparently, yes. Don't fall behind your competition. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text the word random to 511-511. Discover how audio marketing can surpass their current strategies with new and innovative ways that sound better. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text random to 511-511. Text random to 511-511 today. Terms, conditions, message, and data rates may apply. Most of the names that I've seen ascribed to the extremely, I think, anti-Semitic rhetoric were all professors with Arabic names. And that's not a slander on all Arabic people, but, I mean, Rashida Tlaib, she called the beeper bombings disgusting, and I always want to say, are you the representative from Michigan or Palestine? Because it seems to be the issue for you above all. And you know, I don't ask a lot of politicians, but like America first. You got to like be representing who you're representing. You know, if you're my agent, you know, I don't want to be trying to sell Greg Kinnear at a meeting.
Yeah,
Sell me.
And what I'm worried about is this 70% in America that's kind of in the middle. I call it the heartland. Listen, we got a bubble on the East Coast, got a bubble on the West Coast, but there's this 70% in the middle that kind of has a live and let live attitude. Well, there comes a time where you got to say, hey, it's time for me to get off the bench and speak up. And this is one of those times. This is one of those times where you got to get off the bench and speak up and say, hey, it's not okay that you're standing up for these terrorists. It's not okay that these universities are not speaking up for America. They got to stand up. You know, this media empire you keep talking about, I have started a new network, and it's called Merit TV, Merit Street Media. I didn't choose that name by random. It's Merit Street. Merit. You do things that have merit. You built this country on a meritocracy. You work hard, you add value, you bring talent, and it gets rewarded. And we've gotten away from that. And we need to get more to that.
The other side would say, and they have a very good argument here, because it certainly is also true, that it didn't get rewarded equally for everybody all along the way. I mean, to go back to the argument about does it matter who's president? If I'm a black teenager who gets pulled over, or just a black man, and you know this still happens, and you really shouldn't have gone to jail and been put in the system or whatever, would I rather have Eric Holder as the Attorney General or Jeff Sessions? You know, the person in the top cop, person in charge of law enforcement. You know, policy guidelines do go down, and people do handle it differently. So it does sometimes matter who is the president. Not that I'm obsessed with this.
No, not much. I don't care if you start on third base, dugout, or dumpster. Would you rather start in America or Venezuela or Argentina? Where would you rather start?
You always do this. You answer the thing with something that makes it seem like these two were in contention. Again, two completely different issues. Yes, America has been uneven in our history of how we treat people, and of course, I always say that. I just said it in a big speech. America is still the shit. America is the place that you'd want to be. I think, I mean, no, look, there's plenty of countries that are fine, and there's a reason why Belgium doesn't empty out and come here, because Belgium's a perfectly fine country, and they're used to it, and lots of countries are. But, I mean, for lots of people, especially poor people, who could get here, who have a way to get here, I mean, Venezuela is fairly close. You mentioned Venezuela. and Haiti is fairly close, and Mexico is practically a neighbor. Yeah, they're going to be attracted to come here, and you can't blame them. And then we just get into the argument about what's the best way, and of course, if this country wasn't so fucking R-word, we could just easily come to the obvious thing that most people agree on, because you said, you know, like this, and there are some fringes, but I don't want to like take from each side. I want to like make each side bend a little, and you could do this with almost every issue. Can we agree that we need immigration? Yes. Most people would say yes, we do need some immigration. And then mostly, could we just keep it to the people who legally come here? Yes. The fact that we can't like get to that just tells me about our psyche. It's more your field. Like there's something wrong up here. That the people with this much money, and like you say, they're not stupid, that they can't get to the answers or the healthcare one or any of them. I mean, some of it is greed.
Speak with me.
Greed
Keep
stops a
a
lot of
peaceful
things from
mind.
happening. Some of it is inertia.
Do not let the darkness
Some of it is
triumph.
just hatred. Some of it is just that Americans are spiritually so empty that they just feel shitty about themselves. Their life is nice. They have like things, and the convenience is off the hook. But at the end of the day, do they really feel good? A lot of them don't. And that's when they do stupid things and make stupid choices.
You know, one of the biggest problems is we do things today because it's what we did yesterday. And when your primary reason for doing what you do today is because it's what you did yesterday, instead of because you made a conscious choice to do what you did today, then you've got a real problem. And that's where we are in America.
Well, yesterday I got stoned, and today I'm getting stoned, so I guess I'm part of the problem.
You're part of the problem. Look, you got, and if that's what you choose to do today,
It is.
more power to you. 'Cause
Thank
I,
you.
you know, one of the first thing I
Thank
say,
you.
I wrote a book called We've Got Issues.
Yeah.
How to Stand Strong for America's Soul and Sanity.
Big seller.
And it is.
I know.
And I said, number one, I put out 10 things that you got to have for a good culture. And number one was be who you are on purpose.
I will.
Be who you are on purpose and own it. I mean, and don't just get up and do today what you did yesterday just because and the only reason is it's what you did yesterday.
But what if what I did yesterday I like?
Then do it again today.
I'm doing it.
Then own it. But that's what most people don't. And you know, you're saying that we don't have equal opportunity in this country, right? That's your point?
I did not say that. What I said is certainly that is our history. I'm also always on people to, as I always say, live in the year we're living in. Do we have perfect equal opportunity? But no, and that's not just racially. There's a bunch of reasons why you may be advantaged or disadvantaged because of your race, or because of your IQ, or you have a bad personality, or you're fucking ugly. There's a million reasons why you could succeed or not succeed. And there's a million, not a million, but there's more than one way to be privileged. That wasn't the case.
Before the day is done, you will all be slaves and corpses!
You were not visible in the culture. It was just it was night and day. We're not living in that year anymore. Thank God.
You think everybody's happy?
Fake. I can prove it. It's not a fake. That you like yes.
Have your cave!
Since black artists had to stay in a different hotel. It's crazy how much progress we've made compared to many other countries which are much more racist. And this is a court where the woke people attack you because there's still so much work to do. Of course, there's always so much work to do. Humanity is a work in progress. But also let's acknowledge the reality. 2024 is just a different universe from 1954. It's like it's just crazy different in a good way.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I know.
And there are some things
it's not debatable.
There are some things that, for example, you go back 75 years, people are 3 times less likely to express their opinions now than they were 75 years ago.
I can understand that. Yeah, because they're afraid that they're going to get canceled in some way, or
They're afraid
Yeah,
of
social-
the backlash and social media gets on them. When I hear people talk about equal outcome, I go insane. I mean, this idea of there's going to be
Okay.
some kind of equal outcome,
Well, just
that's crazy. Working towards equal opportunity and leveling the playing field more and more every day is great.
all right. Well,
That's a great goal.
can I play host?
Equal outcome doesn't work.
Can I play host here for a second for the audience? What you're talking about is equity. There is a difference between equality and equity. I had Bernie Sanders on the show, I don't know, it was maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and I asked him about this, and it's interesting because here's a senator and a really smart one. I don't agree with everything for sure, but I like Bernie. And he really hadn't, he had an answer that was not good on that. Like, it wasn't all wrong, it was like, oh, I never thought about that, because the question was equality or equity, which, and he said equality, and then, oh, it was like, wait a sec, I think that's what he said. And it was like, oh, wait, that's not the right answer in Democratic Party politics. You're supposed to say equity now. See, it's interesting. Like, if you just asked him and got him his actual thought on the subject, because he's an old school dude, old school liberal, that was the answer, equality. Equality. People should just be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's not what equity is. That's what you were just talking about. Equity is demanding a certain outcome. Now, there is some argument for that, because the difference in opportunity was so night and day wrong for so many hundreds of years. There has to be some remedial measure. I believe in some remedial measures. I think, for example, should we admit more blacks perhaps than are actually, I guess the Supreme Court just ruled on this, so it's a moot point. We're not doing this anymore. Into college, they are. Yes, I think we owe that, and it helps society, because we do need a society where there are as many black lawyers as white lawyers. But when they get to college, can they have their own black dorms? No. That's plainly racism in reverse, and the opposite of what we're supposed to be moving for. Black dorms, like all black, anything where you could do it in reverse